GetCrack. Wake up, mother.
Yo, what's up? All right. So I got my Poly Market ticker here. Oh man. I guess I could add some other widgets. I don't know. What kind of widgets can I add outside Poly Market? Interesting. Nice. All right. All right. Someone's trying to hold up. Someone's trying to call me. What the fuck is this shit? Looks like junk. All right. Damn. Man, these scammers are relentless, man. Trying to do this soft hacking here, social hacking. Crazy. All right. Let me get rid of that ticker stuff here. We don't need that anymore. Get rid of this. Okay. Bye-bye. All right, let's get the music on. Kevin Warsh will speak in 4 minutes. I'm not gonna replay it here. You can go to Bloomberg or whatever and get it. It's not important. I usually don't listen to the stuff. It's pretty dry and boring. Usually by the time it gets to the Q&A, something will happen. I just look at the chart, and if something exciting happens during the Q&A, you should see some volatility build up. So let's see. Okay, let me put this on here. Let's share the screen now. Let's go cover some tickers while we're at it. Okay, here we are. Okay, so initial response from the press release. I guess a little bit below this resistance for the QQQ, you can see, but still undecided. I think nobody's trying to make a major move here. So nothing special about the whole press release. I think. I mean, unless someone sees something differently, but now that we've gotten through it, let's see if the market starts pulling back some, right? Now, that's just the index level, okay? I think this is what we kind of expected for most of these things. Okay. So yeah, index level. I think this makes sense. We're gonna have some kind of release of the tension that's been building up here, and we have to get through the options like I discussed last night, and I played that video again. All these options are really affecting things. However, if you're just doing single stock, I don't think you have to worry too much unless this thing violently crashes while he's talking, because as we see, some stocks are trying to make a break for it, like NBIS, which got added to the NASDAQ 100. Have to be buying NBIS. If you're buying the ETF of the NASDAQ 100, you are helping me go up higher. So thank you for that. NBIS, one of those stocks we got to look at. Let's look at the gold. It was up, but then as we can see, now that we got the press release, it pulled back. So gold miners here, we're looking at the leverage ETF GDXU. This is important. Like last night, I was saying, like, this whole area is going to be a big deal, really big deal. So if we just look at the leverage ETFs here, like this area, you kind of see like it went right here, went sideways, went right here, went sideways. Now again, what are we doing here? Are we just going sideways before we go up, or is this the end of it and we're going to go down? That's what people are going to be curious about, right? That's the curiosity of this whole area here. Yeah, I'm wondering myself. So if gold can continue on, then we can move to a next level. So let me look at the non-leverage ETF. Okay, so let me see here. How high could we go? 15% more. So that's not bad, right? If you got a 3x leverage on that, I mean, that's 30 plus 15 is 45%. So nearly 50% if it get to the top of the pink zone without like zigzagging. If it goes there straight, then we could have a pretty good move right there. All right. So watch for that. If Kevin Warsh doesn't make everything collapse in a few minutes right now. All right, it's 11:30 my time, 2:30 Eastern. So we should start hearing him talk. And usually by the time the Q&A, so about 10 to 15 minutes from now, the Q&A will start and we should start seeing something. So let me just review the tickers I'm looking at. So NBIS is one that's about to break out. And I put on the list today on the title Air, my favorite. Air wasn't added to the NASDAQ 100, but whatever. I mean, I still like it. So yeah, what is it gonna do? Are we gonna break out? So even though we were up like a lot higher today, now we're just up 9.7%. We were up like 15% or something in the morning. Let me see. So probably like that, right? Yeah, it's about 15%. Yeah, I'm right. So 15, 17%. Yeah, that was doing quite well. Now, the one that did get added to the NASDAQ 100 was Teradyne, a stock that I've also mentioned. Same type of feeling as Air. So semiconductor related type stock here. If this thing can break out of this range, we're ready to go. I'm going to start talking about two more things that I mentioned last night. I'm going to repeat it. mRNA, so biotechs. Again, I like biotechs. This thing tried to break during the hantavirus news. When the hantavirus hype died down, it went back to where it was. There's no hype this time. It's still going back. So it does want to go. It looks like it does want to go, right? I just don't know if it's ready to go now, right? Or we're going to wait until later this year for the rest of the healthcare sector to catch up. Healthcare is one of those sectors that could improve later this year, depending on a lot of factors, right? Especially interest rates for the biotech side of healthcare. The other thing too is we're going to have peptides. Any other drugs that might come out will impact it. So there's going to be a lot of hype in that sense. During a move into the recession. So if people really think a recession is going to occur in the coming years, I think Polymarket says we have about 14%. They bet a 14% that we're going to have a recession. Last week, some big banking firms said we're going to go into a recession. So if people start talking recession down the line, that's great because people are going to allocate more and more of their money into healthcare sectors because healthcare is one of the last sectors to go up into a recession. Okay, so by the time we get into a recession, people will start selling the healthcare. So going into a recession, you're in healthcare. And then when it's officially a recession, people are moving out of healthcare and they're going back into banks because banks will be the first one to recover when we stop having a recession. So that's usually how it goes. The market is forward looking. You always look to the future. That's how it is. Okay, so people think like gold has to go up with inflation. No, it doesn't. Gold was already going up before the inflation started kicking in, right? So people who are buying gold were probably already feeling that something was going to occur to cause inflation. We got that reason. Now nobody cares much about gold anymore. It's going sideways, right? Same thing with oil and defense companies. People were buying them up before the actual news. Once the news hit, they start selling them off. Sell the news. So by the time you hear the news, it's too late. You should have been there ahead of the news. That's why I'm trying to teach you guys all the time to look at the charts, and there should be, like, you're a detective. You have to look for the fingerprints of people buying and selling underneath these sectors. So I think healthcare will be the next one, right? One of the next ones. The other thing is that material sector, right? If we're having a commodities bull market, so far it's only steel. Like last night I covered the steel stuff and aluminum. Those things are kind of the only ones that really have stayed well. Next up will be lithium, and then if China gets its act together, then copper will go up. again. But copper right now has been doing not so well, right? So yeah, copper really has been boring, pretty boring so far. Yeah, it's been going sideways ever since March, pretty much sideways. So we don't know much about that right now. Okay, he's yapping. So anything changed? No, nothing. So let me look at my favorites here. Hut still hanging in there. Core Z, very nice. CIFR, very good. NBIS we already covered. This one looks like it's going to be number 1 on my list pretty soon. So I think this is going to move up. And then CIFR will be number 2, and then Core Z might be number 3. APLD, it's okay. It's okay. Trying to hang in there. Same with Hut. IREN, weaker. Still hasn't really gotten to the actual top here. You see, this is the real resistance for IREN. So 74. And it still has a hard time breaking away from this area here. Wolf. Okay, let's see. Wolf doing good. So I don't know. Wolf might be moving up too. So I might move that up. Rumble. Nope. It says it's an AI company, but still doesn't, like, the stock doesn't look like it's acting like an AI company. Now we have to talk about CoreWeave. CoreWeave is back on the list because it got added to the NASDAQ 100. So this is going to help it out. So far this week, people have been buying it because I think because it's forced into the ETFs, anybody that buys QQQ, QQQM, you know, they're indirectly helping buying CRWV CoreWeave. So we got this here. Does that mean after we're done with options, it's ready to break out? If it is, then CoreWeave will have to be looked at more seriously. So it's up 20% this week since the NASDAQ 100 edition. So yeah, even though it's the worst of the charts of that area, the AI infrastructure area, it has bad fundamentals. Everyone keeps complaining about its debt load, yada, yada, yada. It's a Ponzi scheme. Doesn't matter. You know, charts matter more. It doesn't matter what I think, what other people think. The chart is improving. It's got added to the NASDAQ 100. People are going to be buying it, whether they like it or not. So guess what? If it can go up to 180, that's a good trade, right? So we'll see. We'll see after the options expiration what's going to happen there. All right. So next one, HIMS. I talked about last night, part of like the healthcare stuff. So mRNA, HIMS, good candle this week, up 21%. So it looks like if it can hang in 30, so maybe it'll keep doing this into September. You know, it might not be ready yet. I don't know. I just don't know if healthcare really, that whole sector is really ready. So let's look at XLV. XLV, it's down 1.62% for the week. So the broad healthcare sector, including the big and small pharmaceuticals and other healthcare related healthcare insurance, seems not like signaling to me that it's ready to go. Now let's look at the small cap XBI. It looks like it's ready to go. If people really cared about interest rates, why would this thing be up 5% this week? IBB is like XBI, but it takes away a lot of the aggressive parts of XBI, so it's more balanced between like large cap, mid cap, small cap. So it tries to be more conservative. It's up 2%. So there seems to be parts of the healthcare sector that looks good. If this range is broken here, you know, if this whole area gets broken, it would finally ready to go up, then this will be nice. If you could do the point and figure from November into now, you can figure out what target we're going to go up towards. So yeah, healthcare I think will be the next one up. Okay, next stock, HYLN, Hillian. Okay, let's see this one. This one looks pretty strong, right? Yeah, still pretty strong on the weekly chart here. Very strong. All right, let's look at the 78-minute. Not bad, not bad. It's rising. It's rising here. Okay, it looks like it wants to break the range. I don't know. We'll have to see after options. If this thing can finally break 7.7, then we can go up. That's great. That'll be great. Let's see. The other one, A-Lab. A-Lab got added to the NASDAQ 100. Perfect. So we were talking about that last week before it got added. Look at this. It's making a range here on top of the old range down here. So that tells me that it's ready to go, right? It's ready to go. A-Lab, A-L-A-B, Astera Labs. CRDO, another one. I think Pixie Poo is in it. This thing is still in its range. I don't know. After the options expires and after the monthly trade is done, will it continue up into August? Let's see. So watch that. CRDO, Credo Technology, another one of these semiconductor related type stuff. Oh wait, AXTI I was talking about last night. Let's quickly mention this one. So this one I was saying, like, it's in a dangerous position right now. Dangerous position. Like it could totally fail right here, right? This thing could all be a topping structure. Could all be a topping structure. Let me get rid of all this blah 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 here. Yeah. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. So yeah, watch this area carefully. Now let me go back to the weekly. Okay. If we look back here at the history of this stock, AXTI, you see like it has like red bar, and then finally this red bar. Most of the time, every red bar on the week has been answered by a green bar, right? A strong green bar. This time we haven't gotten that. We had a big one during the epic NASDAQ S&P crash of June, right? So we got this crash here during May, and then we followed through with June, which ended down here. So we did not get a green bar that would counteract this red bar. So this is a change. This is a change of behavior that we've seen. This used to be, something that was very consistently going up, very strong trend. This trend now looks like it's broken by these three weekly bars. This week is not completed. We still got tomorrow, and then after that, we'll have Juneteenth. So the end of the week is tomorrow. So does this thing next week go down here? Or will we have a massive green bar to recover sometime down the line, either next week or 2 weeks when we get into July? I don't know. I have no idea. No clue, right? So this is something you gotta watch. But something is changing here, and we have to see how this reacts to any of the options stuff that comes down. All right, Korea's going fine. We've been going sideways for a while, so nothing new. The bubble has not popped really. So after this big red bar during June, we've recovered most of it. Okay, so Korea's bubble has not popped, so I'm not really worried. If you're worried about a bubble popping, I would be looking at Korea. Korea should pop. Korea should tell you ahead of time. So Kevin has been yapping, and HUT is now up 3.61%. NBIS is up 12%. So he hasn't said anything that's popping the bubble. GDXU recovering right now, up 3%. So I don't think there's going to be a problem. I think I'm going to have to wait for Monday to really make a decision if I'm going to change my mind, but I'm still bullish. Like you really Rocket Lab. Okay, so those are the ones. All right, so let's look at the space stocks now. Okay, ASTS still. All right, yeah. So midpoint range for ASTS. That's where we're at for that one. Rocket Lab. Still dangling here. I don't know. It's kind of the same issue, right? With the what was that? Dangling at the bottom here. Kind of like what oh, what was that? What was that one that we were looking at here? I think it was A Lab or something, right? Or let me see. A Lab. What was it? NVTS? No, A Lab was fine. What was it? NVTS? Did we cover NVTS? No, I don't think we covered NVTS. NVTS, yeah, this one, yeah, it has the same issue. NVTS has the same issue as the other one. So yeah, this NVTS, Rocket Lab, they kind of all have like this issue where they're dangling at the bottom of the range. You don't really know if after options is going to die out. AXTI, so they all have the same look, right? We all have the same look. AXTI, NVTS, and Rocket Lab all have the same kind of look. They're at the bottom, below the range, dangling, hanging there. Looks like all it needs to take is somebody to kick it over the cliff and it'll just fall through. Same thing with Palantir. I think last night I covered Palantir too. Same issue here. It looks kind of like, well, yeah, you kicked it down right back to the resistance level, bottom of the range. It's not below the range. It's not below this 125, but it could go there, right? We could see it. Now, if it does ever happen, like I said, like this could be a fake out before like it rallies back up. It'll trick people into thinking like, oh, this is it. This is the perfect time to short Palantir, and that will be incorrect because it looks too obvious that it's going to go down to $70 or $60, and it'll fake it out. Could be. I don't know though. So that's kind of like the danger when you play with ranges. If you want to short Palantir, you short at the top of the range. If you want a long, you long at the bottom, right? That would be the safer bet. So anytime you start seeing these ranges that get built up, you're always going to be like, well, I'm going to short here, I'm going to long here until I figure out which one is true. Because if you short here, you're comfortable. You can wait until it proves itself. So if it reverses back, you just cover it, right? You just cover your short. You just close your puts, whatever you're using. If you're using leverage ETFs, that's what you just end. Yeah, you just close your position. So from here down here, you would just wait and see, right, until it proves itself. If you're gonna wait for a long, what would you do is like, well, you could buy around 125, or you could wait for it to go a little bit below. That's what I was like hoping for with Intel, right? Intel, kind of like the same thing. You were going at the bottom of the range, and you're kind of like saying, okay, you go below, right? You go below the range and you fake out because everybody here is trying to short, and then you would go long, and then that would be good because now you made money going long on Intel from this point, right? So that's why I'm telling you guys, you don't short here, you don't long here. Okay, you want to short, you short here. You want to long, you long here. And then whichever direction you go, it doesn't matter because you entered at a price that protects you. Because here I could wait and see if Kevin Warsh kind of slams it down. It looks like it's not happening. So if you short it here, you'd probably be like, okay, I'm done. I'm out. I give up, right? Maybe that's what you're thinking right now if you short it up here. If you're longing down here, you would have like a lot of cushion because now it went up all the way up here. You could wait and see if this thing will crash and burn. If it starts rolling over, you would get out. So if you're long here, you would get out. See, I don't need to predict the future. I'm not here to predict the future. I see the range and I just go top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom. If I want to short, I go to the top of the range. If I want to do the bottom, I do the bottom of the range. All right. You get what I mean? So that's all you need to do right there. Okay, let's see. Yo, what's up? You gonna watch? No, I don't need to. I don't watch. I don't waste my time watching people yap. I just look at my money grow. I have my portfolio on my side and I just watch it grow. I don't care what he's saying at all. I just look at the chart. The chart tells me what he's saying. If he's saying something good that the market likes, it goes up. That's it, right? So that's all you got to do. This is why you just look at the charts. Focus on the chart. and you'll make money. Don't focus on the babble. The babble is whatever the babble is. I don't care. I just look at the response on the chart. The algorithm takes over whatever he says, so it doesn't matter. All right, let's look at Micron. Micron is 6.4%. Okay, so it's recovering from yesterday's drop. So the next stop for Micron will be 1,200. If we got 1,200, we'll be good. I think WDC, Western Digital, they keep trying to pump this guy for some reason. This one has been being pumped since Monday. Okay, so we've been getting good pumps on this one. I don't know why in particular they want to pump WDC, Western Digital, but that's the one they're going for. Seagate is going in sympathy. So all the hard disk makers here. So this is not like the expensive DRAM or the high bandwidth memory inside NVIDIA or whatever. This is like the long-term storage memory. So these guys are now picking up a lot of the slack. There we are. Okay. Yeah, that's it. What else? Okay, I covered everything. Good. I covered everything I want to. All right. So before I end this show, I'm going to play some boring fundamental stuff for you about Micron. Okay, so we're going to get the Canadian to speak about Micron. So you can watch that. I think that's probably more important than hearing what Kevin Warsh was talking about right now. I don't think that's like that really matters. Okay. All right. And then I'll leave you guys. See, you don't need to do a lot of work. Welcome to the easy life. You don't need to do a damn thing and you just make money. All right? As long as you position yourself correctly. Oh, before we continue, let's play this. Let's play this one.
SpaceX is going public? Interesting. This is very interesting. What a hype already. I haven't heard about a chance like this since Dogecoin. Shall I buy this myself? I can't miss the train. This might be my ticket to Mars. We are so back.
SpaceX to the moon, baby.
I'm buying this shit.
Come on, baby, we are back.
Congrats on your profits, Elon.
Thank you.
Bonjour, Mr. Musk.
Congratulations on your successful SpaceX launch. You are now
Now the world's first trillionaire. Or shall he say,
we are now the world's first trillionaire.
What can I do for you, Lord Bognoff?
You must do what we always did. Dump it.
Consider it done.
All right, yeah, go check him out. Low budget stories. He makes some nice meme videos. All right. So I don't really care what the index is doing right now because you could see we've been having a dispersion, right? We have a difference between individual stocks and the index. And I think all the options that are in the index level are really ruining things until Thursday. So anything that's happening on the index, I'm pretty much going to ignore until we get through Thursday. And then we'll see what happens on Monday. But for individual stocks, like we've seen so far, NBIS, A-Lab, Air, you could see, like, if you pick the right stocks, it doesn't care what's doing in the index. So the options at the index level is dominating what happens in the index level. So, and as he's speaking, look at gold, look at Bitcoin, okay? Look at what they're doing. Gold more important than any of this. So if gold is improving while he's speaking, then I'd rather listen to that, right? And look at the bond market too. Look at TLT, look at the 2-year yield, all right? Anyway, so I'm gonna play a little bit of the Micron fundamentals stuff here, and then we can continue on later tonight.
Okay, our spotlight company this week is Micron. It was a toss-up between doing Micron and SanDisk, but we'll be able to understand SanDisk more and its viability if we start with the memory makers, because they also make NAND as well. Look at the chart here. This is a 1-year chart on Micron. Last April, hit a low of $63 and hit a high within the year, basically early February, of $451. That was 10 months. $63 to $451. You would say, oh, it's all priced in. It's all priced in. And if this is a shortage, given the increase in prices, capacity is going to come online very shortly and push this down. They don't get to keep this. Well, that's the question. Do they get to keep this? How long will it take for capacity to come online? And that's what we're going to find out here. Just to let you know, I did sell $320 puts on Micron, and I sold $470 puts on SanDisk. This is for the March 20th expiration. I measured that out using ATR, 2 times ATR, take it off the price, and that's basically where I placed the put. It was
Oh, that's interesting. That's pretty interesting. So he uses ATR to decide where to buy the puts, where to sell the puts. So he's actually using average true range. So if you go back to what I said, like, how do you figure out where to do your stop loss and all that? I said, like, well, one dumb way of doing it is using ATR. And this guy is using ATR to decide where to buy the puts. Interesting. So he's using something that's like pretty dumb. I would think would be pretty dumb, to use. Like, you would think this guy with all his knowledge here would have come up with something a lot better than using ATR. But he's using ATR to figure out where to buy options. Interesting.
Mathematical as opposed to psychological. Market cap of $482 billion. You may say that is a lot, but if we take their price to sales and we put zero growth, we just take last quarter and annualize it. Micron has earnings coming up in a couple of weeks, by the way. But if we just take last quarter, what we saw in December, and we just annualize it, they're selling at 6.5 times sales. And that's assuming zero growth, that we're not going to have zero growth. So you could say, well, at the worst, 6.44. It's something lower because they have growth. And if we look at their PE ratio with zero growth, it's 12.7 times. So even at where'd they end? $426. They're trading at 12.7 times their forward earnings with zero growth, assuming zero growth. Well, they don't have zero growth, which means that PE is even lower if I used a forward multiple as opposed to just taking last quarter and multiplying it by 4. Volatility, it is a volatile stock. Average true range, this is dailies, 33.50. So 2 ATR based on the price brings you down to 360. 50-day moving average is 346. I went below the ATR when I did it. We were sitting somewhere down around here, so I ended up at 320. 200-day moving average is 200, 100-day moving average 281. Q2 guidance revenue of 18.7 billion, guiding gross margins of 68% for memory. If you have any familiarity with memory, those margins are unbelievable. 68%, unbelievable. EPS 842. And that's where I just said, okay, well, 842, let's figure out what our, this is for the quarter, let's just say zero growth, annualize it and figure out what PE we are. It's high bandwidth memory, all sold out for 2026. It doesn't have anything extra left to sell. It is forecasting to 2028 compounded annual growth rate on the high bandwidth memory total addressable market, 40%. This is annual growth rate to 2028, 40%. Was about 35 billion in 2025, expected to be 100 billion in 2028. Now, facilities can make high bandwidth memory, or they can make DDR. DDR is used for the PCs that you buy. You can stick an LP in front of it. That's a low power DDR. That's for more mobile devices. And there's also DDR for data centers, which is higher capacity and more energy efficient. About 70% of all capacity in 2026 is going to be directed towards data centers, and that is in server quality DDR and in high bandwidth memory. But there's a bit of a problem with this now. There is the trade-off if you're moving from DRAM to high bandwidth memory. To make 1 gigabyte of high bandwidth memory will cost you 3 to 4 gigabytes of DRAM in the capacity that you lose, just because of the resources required to make 1 gigabyte of high bandwidth memory. So if you're switching a lot of your capacity to high bandwidth memory, you have a ratio of 3 to 1 or 4 to 1 that you give up in traditional memory. 3 to 1, the trade-off is typically 3 to 1. Micron cites 3 to 1. However, future generations will require more, which means you have to give up the capacity of 4 gigabytes of DDR for 1 gigabyte of high bandwidth memory, and there's only so much capacity in clean rooms. So you can see how quickly, with this big move to high bandwidth memory, how quickly it's starving the DDR market. AI PCs, you also have this shift now from your traditional PC to an AI PC. And an AI PC means it has the capacity to be an edge computing device for an AI model, which a lot of the inference of the AI model is downloaded to the computer itself to do it there, rather than sending a request to the server. 16 gigabyte has now become the standard, which is either LPDDR5X or DDR5. The LPR DDR6 is the next generation, 50% higher performance plus energy efficiency. There's where you're starting to get big shortages, because most of the memory manufacturers, given the smaller capacity, are doing the logical thing, saying let's go for the highest margin stuff. That is high bandwidth memory, and that is server DDR. All you people with mobile devices and PCs, you're going to pay. And there is one particular memory, DDR4, that is being discontinued. Yet there's a bunch of devices out there that rely on DDR4, and this is becoming, there will be at some point no supply at any price, which is going to force an upgrade cycle to a lot of things out there that have to that cannot use DDR5, that rely on DDR4. So this is a big deal. January 16th, $100 billion super fab, Micron cut ground. They're spending $200 billion in the U.S. $150 billion is actually infrastructure. $50 billion is R&D. Their big super fab in New York had their groundbreaking event on January 16th. In production by 2030. Don't look for any relief for another 4 years. In production by 2030. Singapore, $24 billion for wafer production. They expect it to start incrementally getting production out by the second half of 2028. 2.5 years away. This 24 is being spent over 10 years. SK Hynix, and Samsung are the other big two. They're also looking at putting in some capacity. We'll look at how we got here, and how come we don't have the facilities? That is a result of the last down cycle in memory, where a lot of these companies lost money and they said never again. So they're spending money on increasing capacity, but no meaningful capacity is going to be around for another 2 years. But you have AI growth that is still accelerating, mostly on the consumer side, mostly in the usage of AI, which requires more and more investment in those facilities. You have the end of DDR4, which is going to require an upgrade cycle, and more DDR5, DDR6, which there is no supply of. So the big question for all of these valuations is this a 2 or 3 year thing where they get to harvest a bunch of cash and then they return back to the low margin business they had? Or is this a multi-year thing that's going to continue on for a while? So let's look at our story. Okay, let's go through a presentation here. I am using Nano Banana on Google to get this done. I give it a bunch of information. I say I need a graphic for this, and I am doing this in PowerPoint, so the writing I have is limited to what I have within PowerPoint. So those are the tools. What is DRAM? We're going to go through what is DRAM, what is NAND. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this. Dynamic random access memory. It is the working memory of the computer. Dynamic because as soon as you turn off the power, you lose everything that is sitting in DRAM. If you want to store anything, you send it to flash memory, which we'll look at next. Forms of DRAM. DDR4, DDR5, we're going to see later DDR4 is being discontinued. There is an end date in that. That goes into your PCs. Stick an LP in front of that to get low powered. That goes into your mobile devices. Server DRAM and high bandwidth memory. This is where everything capacity is shifting over to these, because these have very high margins. These are lower margin. Paradoxically, what you're doing by doing this is creating this as high margin, especially DDR4. DDR4 now sells for more than DDR5, simply because it has an end date. So it is being discontinued. The money is up here. I really wish Nano Banana would have done better on these charts, but you can see, like, it's a really great graphic, but we still see a problem. There's servers and data centers. There's servers and data centers. This should be PCs, this should be mobile, this should be data centers over here. And then it didn't carry the coloring over to the other pie chart. And this is where you have to look at the output and you have to say, okay, let's modify this, modify that. But here's the problem with this Nano Banana and Gemini stuff. If you try to modify one thing, it'll change a few other things. And then suddenly, instead of you pull at one little thread and the whole thing unravels, suddenly there's 3 or 4 things you got to fix. And then you tell it those 3 or 4. Now there's 5 or 6 things. It's always better just to start over, and in your prompt be very clear that it should carry over coloring if it's using any pie charts. But we could just see very quickly here, this blue area here, this 70% of all capacity is going to be directed towards server DRAM and high bandwidth memory. And PCs and mobile devices are simply going to have to scramble for whatever supply it can get on, that it can get. Highly concentrated market, the big 3. You have Micron, Samsung, and HK Hynix. We're also going to talk about SanDisk, but that's not in the DRAM section. Let's see if we can get this to move to our next screen here. There we go. What is NAND flash? Well, if you want your data to continue to survive, that is where you put it. It is permanent storage, not dynamic storage, non-volatile. NAND is not AND gate logic. It's not AND gate logic, NAND, NAND. Vertical stacking, 20 layers. So this is how it's being made now. So rather than wafer, they're all being stacked on top of each other, and then you have these connectors that run through all of these layers. Dynamically higher density without shrinking cell size, because you're pretty much at the lower end of the cell size. You have to stack them. Replaces hard disk drives in most applications. We have it here by major market. There is enterprise and data center. You need far more permanent storage for data centers. and we're going to see later on, SanDisk has already said, listen, our 2026 capacity, it's all sold out. And quarter over quarter, they've raised their prices 100%. And much like memory, there is no relief in sight just yet. So what is going on for mobile and for desktop? Well, they have to fight over a shrinking supply. You do have reports of some lower-end handsets being made, instead of with 8 gigabytes of memory, now down to 4, and with less storage on them, only because the cost has jumped up so much that rather than increase their price, they're decreasing the capacity of the memory, both the volatile and the permanent memory they have within the device. Okay, let's look at high bandwidth memory. If we're look at a DDR5 module, here's your CPU, and it has a certain interface. Memory can transfer between, or data can transfer between memory and CPU at a certain speed. Move over to high bandwidth memory. The bandwidth roughly 10 times what DDR5 offers. However, it is resource intensive, complex stacking and bonding, lower yields, consumes more wafer capacity, and it's about 4 silicon wafers for 1 gigabyte of high bandwidth memory versus DDR. So there's your wafer, and there is your memory module. Once you get to high bandwidth memory, wafer, there's your module. Hyperscaler demand for AI GPUs fuels the high bandwidth memory shortage, driving up all memory prices. Now, when you're faced with a shortage as a buyer, what do? If you feel there's a looming shortage coming on? You over-order. Well, guess what everyone does? Everyone over-orders, which causes the shortage to be even worse, which squeezes that price even higher. We'll talk about that a little later. Here are your players: Samsung, SK Hynix, Micron, and SanDisk. I am playing the Micron.
All right, we'll continue off from here. So we got Samsung, SK Hynix, Micron, SanDisk. SK Hynix wants to be part of the U.S. stock market, so they're looking to have a little, I guess, IPO in the U.S. stock market. They want to take advantage of all the capital we have here in the U.S. So I guess the NASDAQ, I'm guessing here, you know, the Texas wants to do their own stock exchange. If they had done it this year, if they started a Texas stock exchange and started competing with the NASDAQ and the NYSE, New York Stock Exchange, that would have been really interesting to see everybody try to fight for all these new shares that are coming out right now. Anyhow, okay, Kevin Warsh has finished speaking. Nothing burger, in my opinion. I do see gold down, 2-year down, dollar up. The stock market itself, kind of like it can't decide. Semiconductors still up. All the high flying stocks we've been looking at still up. So really, I don't know what to say. I think it's really been a nothing burger. We have to get through the options expiration, see what the truth is next week. So sadly, we won't have Friday. Everything will be wrapped up tomorrow. Now, if you want to continue watching, you can go to the Bloomberg coverage of the FOMC. So usually after the FOMC presser, they have like all these guys come on to talk about what they heard, blah blah blah. They usually have the best analysts on there. So I usually like Bloomberg's panelists compared to CNBC's panelists. So they actually have smarter, quote unquote smarter, more highbrow type of people yap about what they heard. So if you care, go over there, go to Bloomberg, and I put the link on the screen for you right there here, so you can go there and you can just search Bloomberg FOMC coverage or whatever, so you can probably find it. If you're on your phone, you can't click the link, I don't know. So yeah, Bloomberg FOMC, you probably should find it there, and then they'll have the live commentary on it. So he's done now, he's done yapping. So we'll see what happens in the next several trading days. But I think really it's all about the options. The options is really what's controlling things. Whatever he said wasn't like a surprise, I'm guessing. And right now, nobody knows whether to go up or down, honestly. Gold wants to go down. 2-year wants to go up. 2-year yields wants to go up. We have dollar wants to go up. Stock market confused. Who knows? So if there's any dips that will come, it's probably because of the options market. All right. So I'll see you guys later. Maybe tonight we can cover if there's any surprise, interesting commentary that I heard from